Well, howdy folks. I thought it would be time to give you at least a garden update. This is the Texas Cooking Today garden, and why do I do this? Well, it's because, when you're going to be cooking and also this year maybe doing some canning, then you need a garden, right? You don't have to have a garden, but it's nice to have a garden. So I thought I'd show you where the stuff comes from in addition to how to use it. Here's my peach tree. This year it is quite literally just dripping with peaches. I've got a lot of peaches, good sized ones at this point, about the size of a large egg now. And the tree's now shaped like a bowl, so it's very open in the center, allowing a lot of light in. And this year I've got just a bumper crop of peaches. There are hundreds of peaches on this tree right now. And the high tunnel, it's been doing really good this year. So I thought this is Ivy giving her cameo. I thought I would give you an idea of what I'm doing in the high tunnel this year, how I made some changes and what those changes are. And it's all about the irrigation. I set up a whole new drip system. I'd like to show you what I did. So let's go inside, take a look at what I did. Well, I've got a little bit of a mess here from some of the cuttings I made, but I wanted to let you know the tomato plants, this is the biggest of them. They just kind of taper down. So I'm learning about which end of the high tunnel does better real quick. The vines on this are really thick. I've got tomatoes all over them already. We're getting some good flowering, and of course when you get flowering, just beat those flowers real good and they'll produce well for you. Anyway, the high tunnel, we're doing irrigation in here now, and I put a drip irrigation all the way through it. It's on a single half-inch line that just weaves its way through all of the garden. Starting from behind the camera, comes over around this side, around through the centers, and then ends on the far side over there at the front. And off of each one comes, on average, a 1 gallon per hour drip. In some places I put higher drips, in other places lower, but it was to control different amounts of water in the same watering time for different kinds of plants. Some plants take more water than others. So that's sort of the only real trick to doing those systems. That and just getting the drip emitters in the right spot. I wanted to go a step further though. I went ahead and installed this white PVC pipe that's running all the way around through here on the center rail, and then there's a piece that comes down the center up above. And that is all installed for the purpose of a misting system. So now I've got mist that I can cool the high tunnel down with. And then the third thing I did was install a hose on an upper track, and that is just to your side, or the side of the camera, I should say. So I'll show you that in just a sec. But I've basically completed the watering system in here with the exception of I would like to add a timer. That would make it so much easier for me. Other than that, everything is just running smooth as can be. We had some hot spells, so my spinach, it bolted. I've got some weeds to get out of here. My lettuce is exploding, but I'm getting some burnt edges from, again, those hot days. And strawberries are going crazy. I got a critter in the garden over winter that ate the roots on some of my asparagus, so I'm going to be planting some more asparagus. It's just part of gardening, folks. Things happen, right? So anyway, let me show you the drip system, and that way you know what I'm doing. I wanted to show you these valves down here. This right here is my valve control system. When I turn water to the high tunnel on, it charges all of these valves, and then this one down here for my dripper, this one's for my mister, and this is for the hose that I installed, so I can turn on any of them at any time that I want. And all of my controls right here next to the door of the high tunnel. Very convenient. Just outside of this, I installed a drain. I cut out a little piece of ground there. Hi there, puppy. Put in some, that's Ivy. Put in some pea gravel down there, and that way when I drain my system, I have some way of getting all the water out of it for winter and a place to drain it to. So it was all just sort of built into one good idea. All right? Alrighty, I'll go over here where once again my puppy dog's giving us a camo today. She wants to be on camera, you can tell. Right here, my drip emitter system. And of course, the emitter itself is this little piece down here, the tube that comes off of it. And this is just an item that you can put on the end that helps it to keep from backflow, also to keep bugs out and to keep dirt out of it. Kind of handy on some of them. I got some peppers growing here, more tomatoes back here, and of course weeds that I've been pulling. Yay! Drip emitter system's really nice. You just put that emitter right where you need it. Sometimes you can put these in between plants. So you got one emitter feeding 2 plants. And remember, you know, if you're going to be running your system for 30 minutes or for an hour or whatever you're going to run it for, to plan with the right emitter, all right? So I've got 1 gallon emitters almost everywhere through here, with the exception of just a few that are higher output. Like the tomatoes, I think I have 2 gallon per hour on those. And it just allows them to have the extra that they need, where the peppers don't require quite as much. So just sort of the way different plants handle water in their own little way. Some of my seeds didn't germinate, so I'm going to be replanting some places. That's just, again, life in the garden, folks. Let's take a look at the misting system. Alrighty, so my mister comes up, and that little pipe follows all the way around the high tunnel. Now right there in the back, I took it up. I took it right up over the top up here, so that mister pipe comes all the way down. And I just put a mister head in each location that I wanted one of those things. All right, and here I have my hose that I installed. I wanted a hose to just do spot by spot watering wherever or whenever I needed. For instance, in the next day or two, I'm going to shut off water to the plants completely, and that way I can get my my tomato plants to produce a lot more fruit. So what I do is I stress the plant. When it wilts a little bit, I give it a whole lot of water, sets a whole lot more blooms, and then suddenly, instead of producing dozens of tomatoes, I'm producing hundreds. All right, so it just works like a charm. Whoop, there we go. Works like a charm. Okay, my hose. Really neat idea here, but I didn't want, you see how I've got this wrapped right here? I didn't want to just hang the hose and then suddenly where it's hung, the hose would pinch. I don't know if you've ever hung a hose on a single narrow spot, but they do that every time. So I had to have some way of fixing the hose so it would hold its shape while being hung. And I came up with this wrap system. We'll take a look at it in just a second here. The hose itself I have running on a wire up here, and it's just running on a quick link that you would normally hook chains or whatever with. Hook them together with. So my hose, I can put, you know, any kind of a nozzle on here or a spray head. I can put a bubbler on here, and it allows me to water when and where and however I like as needed, or just to wash up in here. So it really makes it a very handy thing. Instead of having to bring a hose across the yard to put it in here, I now simply have something available to me at all times. All right, so that is the biggest change to the high tunnel for this year. I'm going to get into another video about high tunnel construction and the do's and don'ts, what I did right, what I did wrong, and what I would change in the future. In fact, what I will change in the future. There are changes that are coming to this, but it'll be in days to come. I don't want to rush anything. I'm taking my time here. And in the meantime, my garden's growing well. Because we had extreme temperatures early in the season, I'm now looking at my onions and seeing some seed pods developing. So looks like so much for part of the onion harvest, maybe all of it. We'll see. You know, that's the thing about this, which used to be zone 6B, that's now zone 7A. The world's getting hotter, folks. That's just part of growing in this area. It's very unpredictable. You know, one day you'll have snow, 2 days after that you have 100 degrees, and that really messes with plants, okay? And that, you might think, well, that doesn't happen. Yeah, that does. That happens almost on a yearly basis around here. And it really makes growing things quite challenging. Some things will do okay because you hit it at the right time of the year, you do it the right way, like tomatoes. But other things can be very challenging because, you know, like onions, you get them in early, because they are day length dependent. The minute the days stop getting longer, they stop growing. That's all there is to it. So you have to get them in the winter. They are cold hardy, they can handle freeze, but if they go from really super cold to super hot, then bam, they bolt. And if they go from really dry to being flooded daily, you know, with too much water, which we had last year, boom, same thing, they will bolt. All right, so there you have it with the strangeness of temperature and water and what I've done to improve the high tunnel. Let's take a look at how to do this wrap. Let me show you this, and then I'll say goodbye to you for the video, okay? Well, howdy. Hey, welcome out to my shop. Today I wanted to show you something. Oh, I've got something on my glasses here. I wanted to show you something that, it's a skill that I know. It's a little bit of a type of a knot. It's called a compression knot. Some people call it a wrap knot. I like to call it a ferrule knot or a compression knot, ferrule compression knot. Let us say I wanted to, you know, use something like this, much larger or whatever, and I wanted to drill holes in the end of it, put some eyelets in there, and maybe suspend some weight from it. Well, the problem I run into is if I do that, then the end of the wood is going to split and break, and those eye screws are going to just come out. It's a very weak design. But I can use this very knot to make the end of this very strong. Now, what does this have to do with anything that I'm doing today? It's just to show you that it can be used in a lot of different purposes, a lot of different uses. I can use this same knot to reinforce the end of this so that no matter how much weight you put on this, it's not going to break the end. It'll probably bend the eyelet before it breaks the end of the wood. So you can make things like this that much stronger. Today, what I'm trying to do, let me get this thing up here and show you. I've got some of my garden hose here, all right? This is an older garden hose. I wanted to use this in the high tunnel for overhead work. I did this compression knot right here. If you notice how well the hose hangs from it, it doesn't bend as much, and that's kind of what I wanted. These loops that I want to do in the high tunnel, I'm going to be hanging from this, and I wanted the loops to hang a little more open rather than to just bend at where they're hung from the summer heat. Now, I could have just put in a little metal bar there or something like that, but I wanted something a little more flexible, a little softer, and kind of just more in tune with the materials that I have here. So here I have it. I want to be doing this knot for you, and I want to do it on this part of the rope right here. And I have a piece of rope right here. So the length of this rope, heck if I know, I'm going to guess somewhere around, maybe 20 feet, okay? And I'm going to make a 12-foot wrap. And the only way you're going to know for your cord or your rope, it's going to be different for everyone because they're all different sizes and different, or I should say different gauges, different thicknesses. So it's going to be different on yours, all right? Depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it. So sometimes you just have to wrap it with a length and then see how far you got, and then take that length and measure it and compare the two, and you'll know what you get for each foot. All right? And it's dependent on a lot of things, including the diameter of what you're going around. So that matters a lot. All right? Now what I want to do here, this simple knot, is held in place strictly by compression. And if you'll notice this here, there's no knots showing on it. There's no knots here, there's no knots here. The only thing is a bulge in the middle where the two ropes intersect, okay? And that's it. The rest, they're all held in place by compression. Nothing else, and it'll stay like that for the rest of its nice little hose life, okay? So, and by the way, the noise, it's raining. That's why I'm in here doing this today. I thought, well, as long as it's raining, why not? You know, just hang out, do your thing. Now, I want to have a compression wrap. I'm trying to decide which end to do this with. I want to have a compression wrap that's going to be about 1 foot long. So that right there is roughly 1 foot. That right there is the extra end that I need to go up under it. It needs to be about 6 inches worth. So it'll go underneath that, all the way to the center. All right? Roughly 6 inches, maybe just a little less, because you're going to be pulling it under. You'll see what I mean in a little bit. All right, so now that we have this, we've got what we need here. I need this much sticking out to grab a hold of. Have my hose. What I want to do is to start with this facing away from me. And I'm going to take this rope and come over the top of it. All right? And it will help hold that in place. You'll get it as I go. Okay, so here's the first wrap. Now this might look a little weird and gangly and difficult to do, and in a manner of speaking, when you're first starting it, it's a little bit awkward. Yeah, it's kind of difficult, not real difficult. So I take the length of hose and go around, or the length of rope and go around the hose. Goodness, I'm so sorry. Oh goodness, I love it when I do that. So anyway, here I'm going to pull this snug but not tight. You don't want to wrap it tight. If you wrap it tight, you'll never get it to pull back to center. So it'll tighten itself in time, okay? And you'll see what I mean by that. All right, so I have that. Started my first windings. I'm going to hold it down with my thumb, take my rope and go over once, take my rope and go over a second time. Now I can lay in 2 wraps right here. There's one. Here's the other. So I'm going to pull that length of rope I have kind of back this way. I'm just rotating what I'm doing here on the rope, so you can turn it from side to side there. All right, and I'm sorry for the camera views. It's kind of hard to show somebody how to wrap a knot when your hands are in the middle of it doing it, right? Okay, so come over it once. There we go. Again. Oops. Now a lot of time I'll put the rope in my lap when I'm working this stuff, just because it's closer to me and easier to handle. All right, just like so. Oops. So you kind of see what's going on here. I've got these 2 lengths of rope coming down to a loop, and I'm making my way down towards that loop. Isn't this fun? All right. That's all I want to do is just continue that. Remember, I'm not making this tight. I'm not cranking down on it. I'm just making it snug. I just want it to be against the hose and nothing more. All right, I've gone around a few too many times. Here we go. Okay. And here's the thing, the closer you get to the end, the faster it goes. But these first few inches can be, because you know you have so much rope going on, it can seem a little bit awkward to you. And down to my side here we have, this is Ivy. She's my little girl. She's a new puppy dog. She's just a little over a year now. A year and a few months. Full of energy. Lots and lots and lots of puppy energy. And I should blame myself because I feed her pretty doggone well, so. Alright, so you remember when I said your tuck length will need to be about 6 inches to hit center. And you'll need enough of this sticking out to grab a hold of to pull it back to that. There's what we got right here. Now when you get to the end of this wrap, do not go down through this loop. Come up through the loop from the bottom. Like this. There. So now what happens here is I'm going to go pull on the rope on the other end, and it's going to pull the rope under here after it tightens this up. Here we go. Bam. So it tightened that up. I don't have to hold that anymore. It's now going to hold that in place for me. But that's not good enough. I could leave it like that and it would be, you know, kind of okay. But it really isn't strong and it won't hold and it won't be permanent. Something else I want to mention. When you have rope like this is nylon rope. I've taken this rope and I've cut it and then I melted the end on it. And if I pull that melted end up under this, it's going to tear the fibers of this rope. So I'm going to take this and cut that end off after I get it a little closer. I don't need to do it now because I don't need to mess with fraying it. But once it's under the compression, it won't matter if it does fray because there's nowhere for it to go. All right, now the hard part is pulling this thing through. It is not easy. You usually have to guide it and pull some of the ropes over it when you're using a rope this large. And if you wrapped it too tight, you'll know it right off because it'll be really hard or impossible to pull through. If it's just super hard to pull through, then you're going to be able to get it done. Okay, now this is something that's going to require muscle. Okay, so there we go. I pulled real hard and I have pulled that guy right up to about here. Okay, so that's what it's doing. It's just tucking it under and pulling this end right up in there. Now let me try to do that again. Get some more force here. Oh man, that's hard. Whew. That is hurting my hand badly. However, I pulled that guy right up to about here. He's really in there nice and tight. And it's going to look good. So what's going to happen here? If it's too tight also, by twisting the winds, I can loosen up a spot where that knot is. And I'll do this. There. I've loosened a spot so it'll bulge easier. And this will slide up under it easier. That's what I have to do there. So I can keep pulling it by hand. Just a little bit of the time. Pulling these knots over it and loosening its path as it goes. See? That's kind of how we do stuff like that. The other way would be me standing on the cord and pulling up on the knot. And I think I'll do that now. So, I hope my overhead camera here is working real well. So this will come through well. I'm going to put my heel on this. Come on, with my nice house shoes here, as you see. Pull up on the knot. There. All right, and look, it pulled that end right up to the end there. But, you remember what I said about that plastic end, that knotted end? All right. Now is the time to cut it off. Because the next time I pull this, it's going to pull that right up underneath. And I want it nice and smooth like that. I don't want that hard melted plastic messing anything up. Okay. Here we have it. Just about under it. There we go. Nice and tight now. All right, so that is completely done. The whole thing is wrapped. I can leave this on there. If I wanted to hang it from that or something, I could do that, but I want to hang it from the middle. Could I bring it over and then do that? Well, if I had left myself enough, maybe so. Maybe I could do something like that. But I'm not going to sweat it. I'm just going to cut it off clean and never worry about it. This will remain on there permanently until it is actually cut off. You can't unwind it to get it off, not easily. It would be a very, very difficult thing. So there you have it, folks. There's your compression knot. Made the hose nice and stiff so it won't bend as easy. And you can always twist it to tighten it or loosen it, however you wish, and it'll be there nice and strong for you. Okay, this is a really cool way of doing stuff. There you have it. One compression knot. Well, the magic of video. You see, that was a whole different day when I did that. Yeah, it had to have been because it was already up here when I started this video, right? Duh. Okay, anyway, this is all done and it works like a charm. I'm really happy that it worked out the way I was hoping it would. So there's a neat idea for you to just have a really cool new knot that you know, plus having a way of handling things like this. That knot has done so many things for me over the years. It's just amazing. And it has, well, it just has fantastic properties. Folks, water is really important. How we control it's really important, and being able to not use too much of it is real important. Drip emitters really help with that. Mister systems keep things cool when you have 100+ degree days, and it's always nice just to have a hose around when you need a hose, right? There you have it. My high tunnels improvements for this year, and you've kind of had a once over on some of the plants that are growing and what's going on. We'll have some more looks in here a little later on. I'll be doing some more videos here. So thank you for tuning in on this one. Please check out some of my cooking videos. I've got some really cool things coming out right now, and we're gonna have a good time of it. Thank you for watching, and you folks have a good day. Oh, by the way, please subscribe, click the like button, drop some comments down below. If you have some ideas for the high tunnel or for the garden or other stuff, then let me know. Talk to me. What do you have an idea about, and what would you like to see? Thanks for helping out. Folks, have a good day. Bye-bye.